After addressing the three essential questions, let's proceed to consider the two approaches in crafting rubrics. Let's begin with the nested or layered approach. One way of crafting rubrics is to take reference from curriculum documents. In this case, we can see a summative assessment rubrics in the context of A-level literature. An examination rubric is usually presented as a holistic rubric, whereby the criteria is understood interdependently, meaning when one of the criteria is met, the other criteria is also understood to be fulfilled. To use this summative assessment rubrics for formative purposes, it will be helpful for students if we unpack the criteria. So the criteria of the quality of response is unpacked into three subcomponent parts: relevance, understanding, and argument. Once we have unpacked the criteria, we are now ready to use a nested or layered approach in spelling out the increasing level of complexity in students' understanding. At the lowest level, students' answer may or may not even address the question. At level D, there's some relevance, but little understanding. At the next higher level, there is relevance, understanding, but no argument. The next higher level, students' understanding is well demonstrated and illustrated by a coherent argument. And finally, at the highest level of complexity, it is a well-developed argument. So this is another example of a nested or layered approach that is used in crafting standards, in this case, in the context of inquiry-based learning in science. And here, what is being assessed is students' quality of report, and three criteria have been singled out: relevance, conceptual understanding, practical application, and explanation. So at the emerging level, students again may or may not have addressed the question. At level developing, there is both relevance and practical application. At the competent level, it will be a +1, in this case, an additional demonstration of conceptual understanding. And at the most proficient level, all four criteria are met. At this juncture, I invite you to have a go at crafting rubrics using a nested or layered approach. What you see on the screen is a rubric that's used in the context of A-level geography for short essay questions. Pause the video here to observe the descriptors and see how we can reframe the rubrics using a nested or layered approach. Let me offer you some feedback on your thinking. So as you study the descriptors, what you'll notice is that, first of all, the word response appears in every level, and it causes us to infer that the response that is evaluative is an important criteria for good performance. So here we have laid out the response sentences from novice level to more exemplary level to highlight the important criteria of making an evaluative response. And as you can see, from the beginning to the exemplary levels of standards, they depict a continuum-based orientation from novice to more complex understanding in making an evaluative response. Have a go at picking up two other criteria from the holistic rubric and map it out according to a continuum-based orientation across the beginning, emerging, capable, proficient, and exemplary levels. Let me give you some feedback on your thinking. So the two criteria are: one, justifying the evaluative response, and secondly, the depth of argument. The standards here reflect a continuum-based approach. And here the idea of a nested or layered approach is very helpful in thinking about the progress from less complex to more complex understanding. For example, in the case of the criteria of justifying the evaluative response, At the beginning level, it starts with the justification being fragmentary and lacking clarity. At the higher emerging level, the +1 is that now it is broadly coherent, but may still have issues with clarity. At the next higher level, the capable level, the issues with coherence and clarity are somewhat addressed. At the next higher level, the proficient level, there's evidence of synoptic thinking through synthesizing knowledge from different topics. The idea of synoptic thinking is this notion of students being able to look at connections across different topics. At the exemplary level, the highest level of standard, there is strong evidence of such synoptic thinking, and students are able to synthesize the understanding in a purposeful manner. As an assessment leader, leading change in assessment in your department or school, here are a number of decisions in relation to rubrics that you will have to make. Firstly, we need to check and establish the number of achievement standards in the rubric. If you only have one standard, then stick to a checklist. So a rubric will need to have 3 relative positions to standards. And once you've established that a rubric is needed, check the progression of complexity across the different standards. Do you wish to use a standards-based approach or a continuum-based approach? If you're only concerned with a quantitative count, then you don't need to use a rubric. And finally, determine how your criteria should be understood. In an exam rubric, a holistic rubric is usually used for ease of marking, and essentially we are saying that the criteria should be understood interdependently, meaning if one criterion is met, so are the other criteria. Whereas an analytic rubric is useful when we want to unpack a dense criteria into its subcomponent parts, and the different criterion can be understood independently. For example, in the earlier case, we saw that the making an evaluative response could be assessed separately from the justification of it, and finally from the argument that is made to support it. What we have done in this session is to introduce the approach of crafting standards by taking reference from curriculum documents. And using a nested or layered approach, we're able to communicate the complexity of standards from less complex to more complex. In the next session, I will introduce to you another approach in crafting standards, and that is informed by the solo taxonomy.